Welcome to Estonia. Getting serious Game of Thrones vibes being in this place.
Nägemist, Estonian. Okay. Goodbye, nägemist. Okay.
My host told me that basically this is the hipster side of Tallinn. So this is a small country in northeastern Europe and it's home to 1.3 million people, of whom about 70% identify ethnically as Estonian. There's about 22-23% Russian, and the rest is a sprinkling of Finnish, Swedish, German, a little bit of this and that. It shares a border with Latvia to the south, Russia to the east, and it's about a 45-minute ferry ride from here in Helsinki. And actually, because alcohol is so much cheaper here than it is in Finland, lots of people cross over, load up on their booze and then nip back to Finland. Can I get by with just English? You're wondering yourself, as you recognize you're too lazy to learn other languages. Well, same here. The answer is yes and no. So the younger generations, they've been learning English in school, they also learn Russian in school, and you get by very well with them. With some of the older generations who lived most of their lives during Soviet occupation, it's a bit more hit and miss, but you'll get by okay actually. This is the capital city, Tallinn. It's got a population of 400,000 people and it is a small city. So if you were to rush around, you could probably do everything in one day. But if you really want to see everything it has to offer and understand about Estonia, then you need 3 days here. And you'll see more of that later on in this video. Why? Now, one thing I love about Tallinn is that it's got one of the best preserved old cities from the medieval era. Now about 20% of it was bombed down in some raids in World War II, but they've beautifully restored it. That's something I look forward to showing you. Here are some of the fortifications of the old castle. So this one is called Kiek in the Kok, and that is German for peeping into the kitchen, because basically from up there they were able to look down and in through the kitchens of people's houses, and basically they'd have cannons pointing out of there and blasting down at anybody trying to take over. And this one's called the Maiden Tower, built a little bit earlier than that. And you can see that the slits there are much narrower, and that's basically for archers to poke their bows out and then rain down havoc on whoever is below. Now I've heard that it's called the Maiden Tower because they used to lock in all the virgins in there that refused to marry unattractive old fat men centuries ago. And apparently some of them died in there, and they say that their spirits haunt this place. Now I am not particularly a superstitious person, but I don't want to be tangoing with any Estonian ghosts, so I'm going to keep an eye out just to be on the safe side. You can just about see the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral poking up behind me there. That was built during Russian occupation and it was finished in the year 1900, and it was part of the Russification of this place. And the Estonians really did not like this building, and there were lots of attempts to demolish it because it was sort of a symbol of oppression and occupation, but obviously as you can see it still stands. Unfortunately there's strictly no photography allowed inside, so you're either going to have to Google it, come here yourself, or settle for my verbal description. Now I am no expert when it comes to churches and cathedrals and everything, so you're going to get a very superficial take on my part, but just it's nice to look at. What more do you want? And I've got to say that these cathedrals and churches, they see very little action, because Estonia is the third least religious country in the whole world. There was a poll that was done a few years ago, and basically more than 60% of Estonians said that religion does not play any part at all in their lives. And can you guess what the other two countries are? If you stick around, I'll tell you at the end. This is a very charming stand. Let's go check out what's going on over there. Hello there.
Hello.
This is a lovely stand. Yeah, very, very old, very nice.
Thank you.
What do you sell here?
This is traditional one, nuts. Tasty, you can taste.
This is the one with cinnamon?
Yes, this is traditional one, cinnamon. Okay,
I'm going to try the cinnamon one because I really like cinnamon. So let's have a look. It tastes really good.
Nägemist.
Nägemist.
Nägemist, Estonian. Okay. Goodbye,
Nägemist.
Okay.
Well, there it is. They really actually were rather lovely. I will try my hardest to get this home to my family, but there's no guarantees. It's a very long way from here to Estonia. I don't know if they're going to survive the tumultuous journey, especially being in my hands. I keep asking Estonian people how to say things in their language, and I keep forgetting. It's so different to English. There's no even remote closeness to it, so It's so hard to remember. Ah well. Now, the astute amongst you will realize that there is a Danish crest just there. And you might be wondering, what on earth is the Danish flag doing here in Estonia? Now, the initial crusade in the early 1200s by the Danish met with a lot of resistance from the various Estonian pagan tribes here. And so there was a major battle in 1219. And just at the brink of loss in the folklore, the Danish flag came tumbling down from the sky in this point just over there in the courtyard, which is the king's garden. And basically that demonstrated to the soldiers and the king that the god was behind them, and that gave them the extra strength to win the battle. So this place is the birthplace of the Danish flag. There is an entire exhibition here dedicated to the history of the Danish flag. But I highly recommend going in that place. There's so many exhibits in there about what life was like in and around this castle a few hundred years ago, what type of food they ate, various cooking apparatus, all sorts of weapons and armor, and there's a pillory station and torture chambers to show you what sort of devices they used and the various things that they punished for. So if you like your history, make sure to come here. It's only €12, which includes the watchtowers here and the underground area for escape, which I'm going to look into a little bit later on. So you can walk along this path here just outside of the city centre and circumnavigate the entire old city wall from here. It looks very menacing from down here. Behind me is a tall Herman Tower, and it's quite an important symbol of the independence of Estonia. There's a small flag on the top there, and it's slowly lifted every day at sunrise to the tune of the national anthem, and then it goes down again at the end of the day. I didn't intend on actually being out here, but I missed sunrise by about 4 hours. To be fair, it is about 5:30 in the morning, the sunrise, and actually the sunset is about 9:30 in the evening. So there's very long days, and it's only May still. I know I'm making excuses right now, but basically don't have too great expectations. If I can, I'll come here. Welcome to Tallinn. It's right next to the train station, and this was once the site of an old and ugly factory, but it's been uber gentrified in these last few years, and now it's a sprawling metropolis, and there's a labyrinth of artistically decorated food trailers here with cuisines from all around the world. You see some of them are like trains that you can sit inside, and they've all got some sort of outdoor eating component. My host told me that basically this is the hipster side of Tallinn. Just to show you what I'm talking about, there's an Azerbaijani food place there, there's a kebab and doner place there, sushi, Indian, and finally a burger place just there. But this is only scratching the surface. This is actually a large complex of places. And now I'm going to treat myself to some Argentinian pizza before heading into the old town and then finally to my flight. Overall, just a really cool place to come and chill with your buddies on a warm day, have a sit outside, have something to eat, have something to drink, and just enjoy the atmosphere here. So I'm leaving Tallinn now, heading back to the old town for my final 2 hours here before my flight home. There aren't many high spots in town, but this is one of the best from which to see the old town here. You can see St. Olaf's Church there, you can see a few of the towers here that formed the old town wall from centuries ago. And on a sunny day like today, you can't beat this view. And right around the corner from there you find this next amazing view of the city. There's a famous seagull called Stephen that sometimes comes out here, but looks like he's a little shy today. Oh, he came after all. Estonia is a very young country, so they've had sustained independence here since 1991. And recorded history goes back to the early 1200s when the Danes initially invaded with the Crusades. In the 800-year span, they've had about 50 years of independence in total. So there's been extensive occupation of this land by foreign invaders over the years, and that's something I'll talk about more in another video. What are the people like? Well, I've heard them being described as Mentos, you know, like the little sweets, hard on the outside, but once you bite into it, there's a soft, delicious, gooey center inside. Look, just talk to people. From what I've seen, Estonians are really proud about their country and they love to talk about it. And if you show interest, then they will talk about it passionately. And you hear such fascinating stories about the lives that people have led, as well as their parents and grandparents, across all the tumultuous periods in their existence. One of the most striking things about this country is the juxtaposition between old and new. So it has one of the best preserved old towns in the entire world, as you can see before you. But at the same time, it's also one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world. And it has more startups per capita than any other country in the world. So companies like Skype and TransferWise and Hotmail were started here in Estonia. They've been doing online voting for government since 2005. And they say you can file your tax return online in less than the time it takes to drink a beer. And that's pretty good. And there has long been a debate between the Latvians and the Estonians as to who it was that first erected a Christmas tree in a town square. Now my understanding is that there is a begrudging acceptance that it was the Estonians that first placed one here, but the Latvians were the first to decorate it. Anyway, there's been one here for nearly 600 years, and I've been told that the Christmas markets here are absolutely spectacular. Behind me is a memorial for the people who lost their lives in the Estonian War of Independence between 1918 and 1920. And this memorial is the last thing I'm seeing before heading back to the airport. I'm just going to get the bus now, and hopefully in about 20 minutes time I'll be back in the airport. Yeah, it's really close to the city centre. I really hope that you enjoyed this journey and you enjoyed this video. Check out my other ones in Estonia, there's a lot of cool things to see here. And yeah, I hope you make the decision to come and visit this place. Quite fitting really, as the sun sets on my Estonian adventure.